Hola, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Elba. Es un placer estar aquí con ustedes nuevamente. Hoy les
Hello,
traigo...
how are you? My name is Elba. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again. Today, I brought you several recipes of Thanksgiving Day, and I hope you enjoy them. First of all, we will make pigeon pea rice with coconut milk. But first, I'd like to explain to you how to open a coconut. I know that many of you already know, but I would like to show you because there are some that don't know. Preferably, we should use a hammer or a good stiff knife. It has to be a good thick knife so that it doesn't break. So let's see how we can cut up and open a coconut. Here we see the top part. We will open it here. We will then take the water and pour it out into a cup. And we will use a knife to take out the flesh. Now we will slice them after washing them. If the blender is very potent, then you won't have any issues. It'll be very easy. To this, we will add 4 cups of water. It must be hot water. Why hot water? So that the fat of the coconut could be easily extracted. If we use cold water, it won't. It'll stick to the flesh. Now we will blend it. So now we have our coconut blended. We will now proceed to cooking the pigeon peas. You will add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. We will then add in our pigeon peas that we've already rinsed. We leave them there to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. And here we have, for those of you that don't know about pigeon peas, these are the pigeon peas. They will cook very easily and very quickly. While this cooks, we will proceed with the next part. Now we will strain our milk. I do recommend that you preferably use fresh coconut milk, because canned coconut milk, it will not taste the same and it is not healthy either. Now, after about 15 to 20 minutes of cooking the pigeon peas down, we will then add the coconut milk. We will add the coconut milk. To this, we will also add our pumpkins. And we will continue to add on the remaining ingredients. We added 4 cups of coconut milk. So now we will add in 5 garlic cloves, preferably fresh, because it's so much better. Now we have already put in the coconut milk, the garlic, as well as the pumpkin. Now we will add in the rice. We have 3.5 cups of brown rice, preferably brown rice. Please always think about this, consider this. It should be brown rice because that is the healthiest rice. Now let us wash it. We add in the rice. It depends on the rice you use. If you use a different sort of rice, it could be that you will need a little bit less water, but we will see if this is fine with the liquid. There's a little trick that is called the trick of my grandmother. I was taught this when I was very little. For the rice to be the right cooking point, they told me I had to do this. You put in the spoon, and if it falls, it has too much water. If the spoon stays still, if it doesn't fall, then it's fine water-wise. We see that I needed to add a little bit less liquid, but we will see how it will cook further on. Now we will continue with the cilantro. It has already been chopped, nicely minced, and we will add salt and oregano. You can add oregano to taste. And to this, we will add 2 teaspoons of salt. Now we will let it simmer. We're going to cover it and let it simmer. And so in about 45 minutes, the rice will be done cooking. We know it takes longer when it is brown rice, but now we will see the result of our rice. Here we see I have some peppers here and olives. The peppers I roasted in the oven for about 15 minutes, peeled them, sliced them, and placed them there as decoration, but it is optional. Now we will prepare stuffed eggplant. You can take 2 medium or large eggplants. The recipe is based on 2 eggplants, but I will only make one eggplant today to explain it to you. I've already washed the eggplant. Now I will slice it in half. We will take this tool to scoop out the inner parts. If you don't have this, you can use a spoon or whatever else you prefer. But we need to scoop out the flesh without perforating the flesh. We will do this like this. Much quicker, much easier. We will do this until we take out all of the flesh very carefully so that you don't perforate the flesh. And then we'll do this. If the eggplant isn't too mature, then it's easier that the seeds won't be so visible. You can actually do it a lot quicker. Here we have it. Now we'll proceed to the next one. like this. And that's it. Now we will start to cut them up so that you have only tiny pieces. I'm going to use a different knife. So that your stuffing is a lot easier to make. The smaller the pieces you cut up the eggplant in, the easier it'll be for you. All right. Now we will add the remaining ingredients. We have a cup of leeks, minced leeks. We also added in now a cup of chopped tomatoes. To this, we will add salt and oregano. We will add in oregano to taste. And a teaspoon of salt. You will also add in paprika, smoked paprika. This is the sort of paprika that I use. It's very good. It's smoked, but there are different ones. We'll add in our paprika. A teaspoon of smoked paprika. And we will also add in our olive oil. 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now we will mix all the ingredients. You'll mix everything in together. This is going to be delicious. To this, you can add mushrooms or any other vegetables you'd like, whatever you prefer. It depends on your liking. So then we will add on just a tad bit of olive oil so it doesn't stick. And now we're going to fill the eggplant, stuff them. Now, we'll place them here. We'll add the remaining stuffing. Now, as the eggplants do roast in the oven, they will reduce in size, and the stuffing also, and it'll be just rightly stuffed. Now we will prepare an almond sauce to add onto the eggplant on top. I use this almond sauce, but if somebody wants to use cheese instead, they can do so as well. Let's make it. Now we will prepare our almond sauce to place it on top of the stuffed eggplant. We have a cup of almonds, 2 cups of water, a 1/4 of a cup of oil, half a cup of olive oil, half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. We will now blend it. Now I will add on the almond sauce. Now we will add on a little bit of smoked paprika over the top. We do it like this so that it comes out evenly. And then we will place this in the oven at 350 degrees for Fahrenheit for 40-45 minutes, depending on how calibrated your oven is, but you will realize that it will cook very quickly. So here we already have our finished product. Now we will make a fall salad. We will use 2 cups of mixed greens. It's already been measured out for you. To that, we will add a cup of red or purple cabbage. We start to mix everything in together. Now we will add in our sliced peppers of different colors, whatever color bell peppers you prefer. Now a cup of cherry tomatoes. Now 1/4 of a cup of sliced radishes. A 1/4 of a cup of olives, sliced olives. And a small onion, a red onion sliced. Now we will mix everything in together very well. And we'll serve it here. It looks very nice because it has several colors and it's very healthy too. And here you have the fall salad. Since we already prepared the salad, I will make a very simple dressing. We will take the juice of a lemon, but before anything, we will pour in 1/2 a cup of olive oil. Preferably olive oil. And to this, we will add a little bit of salt to taste. Now we will add in the juice of a lemon or 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. It's a very simple dressing. And if you'd like, you can add in onions, chopped onions, preferably red onions. I didn't add in onions because the salad already has onions. And here is the dressing. It's very delicious and very healthy. Now we will make some roasted sweet potatoes. I use this sort of sweet potato, but you can use whichever one you have available. I use 2 pounds of sweet potato. I peeled them and sliced them like this, but you can also slice them. Now to this, I will add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. Make sure it is melted. I have to heat it up because it was a bit solid so that it could be better. And to this, we will add a little bit of salt if you'd like. I prefer to add salt to it, but if you don't like it with salt, you can just leave it as is. So I add in a little bit of salt. We will make sure all of the ingredients come together. So I will stir it. It's good for it to be completely doused in the oil so that they could come out really nice and toasty out of the oven. So it depends on the oven you have, but for about 30 to 45 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, you can cook them. And here, it's ready to go inside the oven. And here we have the end product. They're very delicious and very crunchy. Now, lastly, I will show you how to make a pumpkin flan. I use this sort of pumpkin. I do recommend that you use the same one. And the more colorful it is, the more richer the color, the nicer the flan will be, the more yellow it is. So then we will use, in this pot, we will dissolve cornstarch in our milk. It could be soy or almond milk, whichever one you prefer. Remember, you have the recipe for the almond milk. We will add in 5 tablespoons of cornstarch in this pot. We do this so that we don't have a lumpy batter. So we will dissolve it very well with a whisk. 1/2 cup of milk. You can use whichever milk you prefer. You can use coconut milk as well. Now to this, we will add 4 cups of pumpkin puree. You'll boil the pumpkin with very little water, the least amount of water you can, and then you'll make your puree, and then you can add it in here. We'll do this. Then we will add in 1/2 cup of sugar, preferably turbinado or raw sugar. Never use white sugar. Turbinado sugar you can use because it isn't as processed as the original white sugar. You can use coconut sugar or you could use agave, whichever one of these you prefer. Now I will add in my sugar. We'll stir it in well. And lastly, we will add in 2.5 cups of fresh coconut milk. After having prepared this, we will put it on the stove to cook down. But before that, we will add our salt, half a teaspoon of salt. If you see that it's too salty for you and you prefer that it isn't as salty, then you can add in less. Now we will take it to the heat. We have to continuously stir this mixture. You cannot cease to do this, as it will become lumpy and it won't be good. You have to stir it continuously until it has the consistency that we need. We see that it's starting to thicken. It should be thick, because if it's too soft, too liquidy, then it won't turn out well. It really does depend on the pumpkin you use. If the pumpkin is a good quality pumpkin that isn't very watery, then it will be enough with the amount of cornstarch I gave you. If it isn't very good, then you must add a little bit more cornstarch. This is the consistency you want. Now, when I refer to bad pumpkin, it's because it has too much water content and you will need more cornstarch. But look at this consistency here. It should turn out just like this. And that's it, it's ready. Now we'll make the caramel. We will use half a cup of turbinado or raw sugar. Look how it starts to melt immediately as it hits the pan. Once you see that the sugar is beginning to melt, you will add in 1/4 of a cup of hot water. We need to wait for the sugar to melt so that it turns out fine. If you don't want to use sugar, you can use agave as a base for your slime, but we will add in our water now. We'll let it boil down a little bit until the sugar dissolves in very well. You should wait for the caramel to bubble, when it begins to bubble, it's because it has the perfect consistency. If it's too liquidy, then it won't turn out well. It's already starting to bubble. So then we know that it's almost ready. Now it's ready. So then we have prepared our caramel sauce and we will put it into our container. You need to stir this well. We can use this ramekin, which is an individual size. We can also use a bigger family size container, whatever you prefer. But first of all, I'd like to show you this. We must stir it in well because as it starts to cool down, a thick layer starts to form over it and it won't turn out very good. So we must stir it. Stir it before we pour it into our ramekin. Make sure it isn't lumpy. We will add in our caramel. You could, when you taste the batter, that you think it doesn't have enough sugar, because since we have the caramel as the base, so that it won't turn out to be too sweet. I will pour it into a ramekin. Now it's ready. You have to let it cool down at room temperature, and then you can place it in the refrigerator afterwards. Now I will show you what to do after you take it out from the refrigerator and it's completely cooled down. Like I said, you need it to let it cool down outside of the refrigerator, and then you place it in the refrigerator because it has to be a bit stiff and ready to be turned over on our plate. And then we will see our result. We will take a plate, we'll do this. We will hold it down here at the bottom, and then we flip it over like this. You do this, and here is the result. We have this one, which is the individual size, but we also have a bigger one. This is the family size. Whichever way you prefer, you can make it. You can vary in different ways. Now, this is all for today. I hope you liked it. And any questions or comments, please leave those in the description box. It has truly been a pleasure for me to be with you once again. May God bless you all.